Hello YouTube, welcome to a video that I hope can help the most amount of people possible with some of the mental aspects for the Pokemon TCG. I especially wanted to make this video after back-to-back days where I had to have the same conversation with my students of no, I want to make day 2 isn't a good goal to have. Before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe. So let's get into it, shall we? You can't guarantee going day 2. This will tie back into a future slide, but you, dear viewer, who has clicked on this video, cannot guarantee that you will be able to make day 2. It is out of your control. There's other people, and they all also want to make day 2. So you can't all make it, so already a problem starts to arise. You're being reliant on external factors in order to succeed at your goal. You can't tell me that you've never played 3 games of Pokemon in a row where just things didn't go the way they needed to. Lone open Dreepy into a dog, Professor's research into 5 energy and 2 unplayable counter catchers, etc. Even if the game had 0 variance and it was purely based on how good you were as a player as to how high you place, and don't get me wrong, the Pokemon TCG has way lower variance than most card games, you still shouldn't set your goal as something outside of your control. That is an extrinsic motivator, something coming from outside your control. You can't control how well others do, so instead you need to focus on what you can do, and that's improve. If you've encountered these before, congratulations, they're more useful than you think. SMART goals or SMART goals are what you should be focusing on in the TCG when you're setting your goals. Your goal must be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Specific means you can't be broad, you can't be like, play the TCG. Measurable means there has to be something you're going to be using as an indicator that you have reached your goal. Achievable, it has to be something that you can guarantee can be done. Relevant, if you're setting a goal for the Pokemon TCG that's like, I want to learn how to bake cookies, then obviously that's not a good goal. And time-based. This branches 2 ways that both can be utilized. One of the time-based things is I'm going to do X thing for X amount of time a day. And the other is I will do X thing till the 7th of September, and then you can combine the 2 into I will do X thing for X amount of time during the day until X date. If we take the goal of I want to make day 2 and give it the good old smart check, we quickly notice that it misses the mark on 2 aspects, achievable and time-based. You can't guarantee that you'll make day 2, and when you make day 2 is out of your control. Instead, you should focus on setting a goal that improves a specific skill. And then, once you learn that skill, setting a new goal that will improve another specific skill. My example here is I will practice prize checking for 10 minutes a day. Side note, if you don't prize check yet and are looking for an easy bump to your win rate, learning how to prize check quickly and efficiently is a big one. Okay, so why does it matter that your goal is I want to make day 2? It does give you something to strive to, and if you set up a goal to reach for, won't you naturally start to improve as a player? Something about when shooting for the moon, aim for the stars, or what I forget how the saying goes, but like even if you miss, you'll land among the stars and blah blah blah. The problem is that wanting to make day 2 is a wish goal, is not something within your control. I keep hammering that point in, but it is something you wish to happen. You can for sure have your goal be I want to make day 2, but it by itself is not going to improve you as a player. I'll use an example of a gymnast here. When a gymnast is learning stuff for a routine, they don't just do their whole routine and throw in the thing they're trying to practice into it. First, they break it down. Sorry to all the gymnasts out there, I'm going to be using really simplified explanations here. If what they want to learn is how to backflip, well, they need to learn how to backflip. If they've never done anything backflip related in their life as well, then they need to start really simple. First, you start on the ground, curl into a ball, and roll backwards. the equivalent of this would be like learning the game. Then you start to scale it up. You learn to do the tuck necessary to let you backflip. Then you learn how to stick the landing. And then you have someone help you do your first backflip. And then eventually you get to the point where you can do the backflip no problem. Striving for results in this example is just going, I'm going to put a backflip into my routine because I know the judges score them higher. Okay, cool. Do you know how to backflip yet? How are you going to put it into your routine? If your goal is to just make day 2, beyond just the problem of it not being a SMART goal, you can often be effectively saying, I'm going to backflip this year without knowing how to backflip and not doing any of the prerequisite steps to learn to backflip. You may feel like that it's not the equivalent, but that's kind of the problem with the TCG. We naturally, as humans, base our results off of our performances. If you try to hit a backflip during a gymnastics routine during a tournament for the first time, obviously it's not going to go well. But if you've ever changed decks the night before a league cup or big tournament, then like you've all definitely won a game of Pokemon before, right? So it feels natural for us to even just be able to like swap between decks on the fly, or to be able to say that because you won one game, you should also be able to win however many in a row you need to in order to day 2 or even win an event. And that what's holding you back is your skill. But if what is holding you back is your skill, then you should be setting goals that focus on improving your skills, not ones that are based on results. You're putting the cart before the horse. Now, of course, you'll naturally improve your skills just by playing a bunch, but you'll also improve slower than someone who says, okay, I'm going to work on X skill today. I don't care about my results, because they will naturally just learn more about the game than you, since rather than just playing the game, they've made a conscientious effort to focus on learning something about the game itself. Okay. I that backflip gif gets me every time. Okay, so let's go over some important tidbits that you'll encounter as you set yourself SMART goals and start working towards them. When you start attempting to learn a skill, you'll potentially notice yourself playing worse than usual as you learn the skill. This is just, there's a whole video that can go into great detail as to why it occurs, but it simplifies down to you're having to use more brain sources as you play than you're normally used to. This will just lead to you playing worse, despite you learning something that theoretically will make you a better player. You need to stay the course. If you don't, then you'll inevitably, maybe not inevitably, but you'll end up in stagnation if you don't force yourself to try and improve. If you just bring the same deck, play the same way every time, then you're going to be finding way more variance in your future than those who have forced themselves to learn these skills. And then if you aren't learning new skills, or pushing yourself to be a better player, you will stop improving. So you also need to understand that your win-loss record doesn't matter when you're attempting to improve, because our goal is to improve. That's why the SMART goals are more helpful, I'll say, since you can't base how much you're improving on results. Well, okay, you can, but your results should be taken as a holistic whole rather than as an end-all be-all. Because if you, well, actually I'll do this, if you slowly build up your skills one by one and slowly but surely improve, inevitably you'll start performing better as a player. How much better varies. This advice does favor the weaker players just because there's way more to improve on. You'll potentially find yourself going from 1300 ELO Arceus to 1500 in a jiff. But if you're a regular 1650 ELO Arceus player, you may find yourself back down to 1550 before you see any payoff and get to 1700 or 1750. It's all a process and you just need to stick with it. That's where taking your results in as a holistic whole is important, because if you start forcing yourself to improve, your first few tournaments, as you improve that skill, are going to be noticeably worse than what you were doing before. And there's a lot that goes into it. It's all a process. You just need to stick with it. I said that already, but that's all the important basic things to talk about. I'll cover my butt a bit here. This is by no means or any stretch of the imagination a comprehensive deep dive into how to goal set. There's a lot more that can go into it, and to be quite frank, this topic could have warranted a much longer video, but after a certain point, it would have just started turning into a life coaching video. And sometimes short and sweet is better than long and drawn out. If you want long and drawn out, that's just what the one-on-one coaching sessions with me is like. So if you enjoyed watching, hit subscribe, and if you think my knowledge is valuable, consider checking out my Metafy. All right, see you all next time.